Today I want to give you an update on the homemade apple cider vinegar that we started making 2 weeks ago. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary and welcome back to Mary's Nest, where I teach traditional cooking skills including how to make sourdough bread, how to make bone broth, ferments, cultured dairy, and more. So if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. Well, about 2 weeks ago, we started making homemade apple cider vinegar. And I'll be sure to link to that video in the iCards and in the description below if you've not had a chance to see that. This way you can watch them and catch up with us, because what I want to show you today is where we are after 2 weeks. This is especially good for beginners who are new to making apple cider vinegar, so you'll know what to expect and what to look for. So when we first started making this, we just cut up our apples, put them in, added some water, and added a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now, for the last 2 weeks, I've been stirring this every day. And the reason we stir it is it helps facilitate the fermentation, and it also helps prevent mold from developing on top. So over the course of these last 2 weeks, the apples have become very brown, and there's been various bubbling and fizzing that occurs. I'll put a picture in, an up-close picture, so you can see what I'm talking about. But that's all that you're looking for. You're just looking for some bubbling, a little bit of foam on top. And as I said in the original video, if after a few days, up to a week, that you notice nothing's happening, you can add another 1/4 cup of sugar. Usually the apples have a lot of natural sugar in them to feed the yeast and then the bacteria that develop in the process that's good bacteria in the process of making apple cider vinegar. But just in case, if maybe your apples, maybe you're using the tart green apples, and maybe there just wasn't enough sugar, natural sugar in them, in addition to the 1/4 cup that you add, you can go ahead and add another 1/4 cup of sugar and just stir it in and put your coffee filter or cloth, whatever you're using, back on, and you'll notice the next day it'll start fizzing and bubbling again. So now what we want to do, I just want to tell you, we're going to test it with the pH strips to show you how it looks when it's not quite vinegar yet, because this has only been 2 weeks. And what you'll notice when you go to smell it, it smells kind of like beer. That's the only thing that I can equate it to. So you'll know that you're on the right track. Those first couple of weeks, it's going to smell like beer. And then after the second week, it's going to start taking on more and more of an aroma of vinegar, of what we think of as how traditional vinegar smells. Now, I like to use these pH strips that help me test the level of acidity of the vinegar that's in the making. And I like my vinegar to come to an acidic level of 3.0. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these strips today so I can show you at about 2 weeks what you can expect. Now, these pH strips just pull out in a little roll, almost like Scotch tape. And I'm just going to take a little piece. And then on the front, it also has the different levels of acidity. So you have the lowest pH on here is 3.0. So that's nice and acidic, and the way I like my vinegar to be. But let's test this after 2 weeks and we'll see how it is. So I want to show you that this, after 2 weeks, this homemade apple cider vinegar is testing in at somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4.0 level of acidity. Now, I also want to show you taking a piece of these test strips and testing them in water, because a lot of people will say to me, Mary, it's just yellow. It's not really a test. Now, this is water from my sink, just from my tap at my sink, and as you'll see, it turns green. So as you'll see, my tap water has a pH closer to 5.5. And I'll be sure to put a link below to where you can get these pH strips. And I'll also include a link for the chopsticks, because I know a lot of you have asked me about these. So I'm just going to give this a good stir, and I'm going to put the coffee filter back on top, and I'm going to put this back on my counter for another 2 weeks. I'll keep stirring it every day, and after the final 2 weeks, I'll check it with the pH strips. I'm sure it'll be at 3.0 in terms of its acidity level, and then I'll come back for a third video where I'll show you how to strain it and decant it. If you'd like to learn more about homemade vinegars and traditional cooking, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and then click on this video over here where I show you the first steps on how to get this apple cider vinegar going. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless.